everyone, it's Shari Carroll for SimonsSaysStamp.com with a fun idea for you using some felt and cloth to make some crowns. I'll start off with the template that I've created, and this is for a toddler size head, so it measures 19 inches when it's completed, and there's two different sizes, one that has 4 points and one that has 3 points. So there is also a fold line, so when you go to use your interfacing and cut these out, you'll not cut on that line. I have already attached my pattern to my interfacing, and I'll show you. These are the edges on the right side, and I have it fold on the left side. So that's going to go right up to that line that is on the front, and I won't be cutting on that edge. So I want everything secure, so I've used my stapler as kind of a cheater. This goes really easy, and this is really secure because this piece will be the framework of the entire crown. So once you have that all in place, you can go ahead and use your scissors and cut around on the line. I have my first piece of fabric here, and this is the interfacing, and I'm looking for the side that has the shiny dots, and I'll go ahead and lay that onto the back side of the fabric, and then I'll go ahead and iron this really well. Here's another one of my fabric pieces, and I've ironed on the interfacing, and it really makes the fabric a little bit stiffer, plus it helps the edges from fraying. So what I'll do now is just go around with my scissors and cut right up to the edge of that interfacing. I have all my pieces cut out, and now I want to add felt to the back. And for this I'm using the felt glue that you can find at Simon Says Stamp. It'll be in the supply list. So I'm going to do a line down the center. These pieces of felt don't fit the entire length of the crown, so I'll be using 2 pieces, and then I'll just cut off the excess. So I want to just go ahead and place my felt down, make sure it's lined up, and I can go ahead and press down right in that center. Once I have everything cut, you can't really tell it was 2 pieces. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and add the second piece and go ahead and press that down and kind of press them together. Once I have the center pieces together, I'm going to go ahead and add a line of glue to the bottom and also to the top points. I don't want to do the sides yet because I'll be adding ribbon and other embellishments later. So once I have that down, I can go ahead and press my felt in place. And then I can repeat the process on the other side. Once I have my felt pieces down, I'll let this sit and dry a little bit. I've let this set about 10 minutes, and now I can go ahead and cut around the edges. I'll be leaving about 1/8 of an inch border so that it frames out the material. I have run this through my sewing machine, and I have just stitched the top arches of the crown and the points. You don't have to be a super good seamstress, just enough to get a straight stitch going on, so you can see from the back where those stitches are. For a couple of the crowns, I have cut some fabric about 2 inches wide and 32 inches long, and I've stitched around the entire sides. And I've left a little opening to where I can pull the fabric right side out. These will act as a border of the crown and also a tie for the back. And I have an old pair of hemostats that I've had forever, and I've used these for crafting, but I can just go ahead and push those right in and then snap them together, and this helps me pull the material right back through that opening. If you have a long pair of tweezers to try to feed that material right back through, that would work as well. Okay, I'm finishing up pulling that out, and I can start to grab the seams and kind of wiggle my fingers until I can flatten that out a little bit, but that will sit on the crown and have those ends. I have used my iron, and it doesn't get used much except for crafting, and so I've really flattened this out really well. You could even use starch if you wanted to, but this is how this is starting to come together. At this point, I like to start pulling out my trimmings to kind of see what I want to add to this, and I think these little row of white pom-poms will look just adorable. I have run this through my sewing machine again, and it did kind of pucker a little bit at the bottom, but I ran a stitch on each side of that strip of material and also up on the sides. I've used the felt and fabric glue to add on the pom-poms, and they're really secure. For this next one, I have added the strip at the bottom and the pom-poms, and this time I've just used the glue, and then I've stitched on the sides. And I should mention real quick that I also used the glue to close up the little opening that I left on those strips of fabric. For this next one, I added some ribbon and also rickrack, and I also used the glue to attach those in place. So I'm working on this next one, and I have a piece of elastic here, and this is really important to hold the back together. I'll show you how this goes. So you're going to have a piece of elastic, and that'll hold the top part together, and then the bottom will tie the bottom part together. So I do one side at a time, so I glue the left side first with the felt glue and fabric glue, and then I let that dry, and then I go ahead and do a stitch line, and then once I'm ready to close the entire thing up, then I'll glue the right side, and then I can go ahead and sew that. And for now, I have my glue drying on this one, so I'll just put a clip there until I'm ready to sew it. So for this crown, I'll be adding ribbon as my tie, since I don't have the cloth going across. So I'm just going to find that opening, and this is why we leave that opening unstitched. So I'm adding some glue. I have glued these two pieces of ribbon together, and I'll just slide this in between that felt and that cloth. And I'll go ahead and press that down in place, and then I can go ahead and use one of my clips to hold that down until I'm ready to sew the side. And I'll repeat the same process for the other side. I've made 4 crowns in all, and I'll show you how the backs of these look once they're all finished up. So this one has the ribbon ties, and so you can see that elastic at the top and then the ribbon. So this will be adjustable to allow for some growth. And then the other ones that have this strip of fabric, this is how the back ends up. So it's just a little square knot in the back, also adjustable with that elastic, and then you can readjust the knot on the back. The side stitching that I did to finalize everything really holds everything in place. So it holds the ribbon in place and also that elastic. These were really easy to make, and I think you could also adjust the colors for boys. Next up is a wand, and I have found some wooden dowels, and they're about 1/4 of an inch, and I have painted these with Hickory Smoke Distress Paint from Tim Holtz, and I've allowed that to dry. I've also traced out a star on a piece of felt, and I've cut 2 pieces, so those will go front and back of the wand. So the next thing I'm going to want to do is to add some ribbon. So I've cut several strands of ribbon, and I just have them loose at the top. I'm going to go ahead and use hot glue for this, and so I'll just go ahead and start dabbing it on until I get these kind of bunched up. I'm not really concerned about what colors are sitting next to each other. So I just want to kind of have them sit flat, so I'm just going to use my thumb as much as I can without burning myself and just kind of press those together. And with a little more hot glue, I'll go ahead and wrap this onto the top of the dowel just a little bit, kind of roll it around slightly, and then I'll add a little bit more hot glue until I have it completely secured. Once that's down, I'm going to go ahead and add some more hot glue to the felt star. And I want to make sure I have it lined up pretty well and all my ribbons coming down out of the bottom. So I'll go ahead and pull those tight before that cools down. I want my star to be slightly puffy, so I just have some cotton balls here, and I'm kind of breaking them apart and placing the cotton around the dowel and also a little bit down into the edges of the star. So once I have the cotton in place, I can go ahead and start adding some hot glue just to the edges and push in the cotton as I need to. I work slowly, just doing one little edge at a time until I had the entire star complete. The final touch for this is to make sure that I have everything sealed up around the dowel and the ribbon. So I'm just kind of lifting up the felt a little bit and pressing that hot glue in, and then I can press that down. Once that's done, I can go ahead and trim up my ribbons. I was able to grab a shot of Melody wearing her crown, so you can see how the sizing fits for a toddler. So these crowns would be a great idea for tea parties, birthday parties, or any type of dress-up play. I hope I've given you some inspiration on starting a DIY project of your own, and as always, thanks for watching.